break the cycle of birth and death. So really, ever since that's why I started really getting into out of body experience at first, because I was trying to find the purpose of life and the meaning of existence, and I was going out of body and finding out what happened when you die and things like that. But once I went out of body and I found out what happened when you die, I realized this is not it. It's just another dimension. And then I kept on looking. So I know from my experience that if I did find out that there was something more than this, I would go on to that. I would just go to the highest truth I could possibly find. But I can let you know right now, this experience and this perspective is the highest truth I've ever found anywhere. So until something can demonstrate itself to be more, then I'll stick with this. But I can certainly understand your point. I think is a valid point. But I can simply point out the fact that to date, nothing has proved to be any higher, and no experience has proved to be more all-encompassing. I mean, I was literally above and beyond the universe, and I was the mind projecting it. So, in my experience, the only next thing after that was to let go of my individual self, and that would be enlightenment, true enlightenment, or existential suicide, where I don't exist anymore. But I still have too much fear to allow that to happen, so I resolve back into my individual self. But at this point, I've not come across anything that's higher. But if you can find something and point me to it, I'm open to it. Because ever since I was a kid, that's my point, just the truth, absolute truth. And so I'm
But
open.
Daryl, you think you're reconnecting with the universal mind when you stop having this fear? Is that your understanding of when this?
Basically, yes. When you stop having this fear,
Okay,
you resolve as a universal mind, and then as a universal mind, you can let go of yourself, and then you'll disappear. You won't exist anymore.
understood. Okay, yep.
That is correct. So, what people usually refer to as God is really the universal mind, but that's not really God. It's just the dreamer of the dream. That itself is illusory. So the dreamer is illusory too. So
Really?
yeah,
Whoa! Oh my
the
gosh!
dreamer is illusory too. That's why I had that terror when I realized the illusory nature of the universe. First, I saw this little speck that was me, and I knew that speck is me and it's illusory. I'm projecting it. Then I saw the finite nature of the universe. It's on the verge of ending. Then I realized I'm the one that's dreaming it, and I saw that I was on the verge of of not existing either. And I was literally an instant away from making that decision, but it was so terrifying that I resolved back. But the universe is illusory, the self is illusory, the universe is illusory, the mind that's projecting the universe that contains the self is illusory, and the mind itself is illusory. God
So
is
how do you know that that wasn't just a test for you?
again that was my experience. Again, if you could point to a
No,
teaching,
here you are in your OBE,
hmm
and
no,
you're
no, this
faced
wasn't
with two.
OBE.
You're faced.
No, this wasn't an OBE. That's what I'm saying. OBE was inside. OBE is happening inside the universe. This was not an out of
Okay,
body
so
experience.
whatever this was that you were
Hmm.
experiencing, you were faced with two choices: one to break the cycle,
Hmm.
or two to just go back to your ordinary self.
That's correct.
So how do you know that that wasn't a test?
Attested by who?
That would be a good question.
Yeah, I don't think Daryl would say that there's that
Yeah. So I mean, I was
architecture.
there. So I'm letting you know that my experience was that I was the mind that's dreaming the universe, and I
No, I
had
know,
that
but
choice.
how do you know that that wasn't a test
I was
for
there,
where
man.
if you were to if you were to walk through that door that you didn't, that you would ascend onto another level of to learn.
Because I was there. That wasn't my experience and my observation and my perception at
But
the time.
it was exactly, it was a test to see if you were ready to step through that door, which apparently you weren't because you didn't.
Oh, definitely, I was not ready. But it wasn't a test though. I was applying right-minded thoughts, and I temporarily destabilized my individual self. But it was a temporary destabilization. I still have fear and investment in individuality in my mind. So that fear rose up, and out of absolute terror, I resolved back
S-
into an individual self.
See, I've had a similar experience to what you're talking about, and I shut down and didn't accept it.
Awesome.
But in my in my opinion, to me, that was just a test to see if I was able to withstand the fear that was about to come upon me to move on to the next level, but I
I'm fine
couldn't do
having a
it.
different perspective. You can just look at it differently. That's fine. So, I'm not sharing because I think everybody needs to accept my perspective. I'm just sharing my perspective. But if you had a similar experience and your perspective is different, I'm fine with that. But I mean, but I still will honor my experience and the perspective and that I had while I was there. Yeah, it wasn't. That was the end. That was the moment where I guess like I said, I could have woken up because I wasn't ready, like you said. But that is what the end is like. It's the mind deciding to let go of itself. It's illusory existence, and finally the entire illusion ends. But the verse from A Course in Miracles I was talking about, this is the one right here. This is in chapter 2, paragraph 3, chapter 2, section 3, paragraph 3. It says the acceptance of the atonement by everyone is only a matter of time. This may appear to contradict free will because of the inevitability of the final decision, but this is not so. You can temporize, and you are capable of enormous procrastination, which is all the things we do to hold our attention, but you cannot depart entirely from your Creator, which again is not the dream of the dream. This is totally beyond the dream altogether. Who sets limits on your ability to miscreate, which simply means that after a while we're going to get tired. Again, this reality has nothing to do with existence, with the universe at all. Welcome back.
So, sorry, Darryl, miscreate is a state of being outside of the creator? Is that
That
what
is
you mean?
correct. Miscreate,
Okay.
it refers to this entire universe. Us, the world, the outer body state, other planets, atoms, anything that's not God is miscreation,
Okay. Yep. That makes sense. Yep.
the illusion. All form, anything perceivable, anything conceivable, whether it's physical or non-physical, no matter what dimension, is all illusory. An imprisoned will engenders a situation which, in the extreme, becomes altogether intolerable. Tolerance for pain may be high, but it is not without limit. Eventually, everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. As this recognition becomes more firmly established, it becomes a turning point. This ultimately reawakens spiritual vision, simultaneously weakening the investment in physical sight, which simply means letting go of our individual perspective ultimately. The alternating investment in the two levels of perception is usually experienced as conflict, like when I went back and forth, which can become very acute, but the outcome is as certain as God, which means in the end, everybody's going to choose eventually.
Yeah.
Yes,
Jesus says if you give up your life, you can find life. So I think there's some parallels going on
I
here.
agree. Like I remember telling the mind of God before, my experience is the Bible is basically a historical document. And this is the third edition.